Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the South Cambridgeshire series, 103 parishes in a district that completely surrounds the city of Cambridge in Cambridgeshire. Let's get to it. Welcome back to South Cambridgeshire, everybody. Now, in this episode, I'm going to be staying in one of this place's biggest and most well-known buildings. In fact, it probably is the biggest and most well-known building. But we're beginning in a cemetery, and this is a cemetery like no other you will have ever seen before on this channel. This is the American War Cemetery, which you can find in the parish of Madingley. This video is sponsored by Bassett Law Pro Clean, specialist floor and upholstery cleaners based in Retford, Nottinghamshire. Do you have a commercial space, own a restaurant, hotel or pub, maybe an office block? Bassett Law Pro Clean cover the entire country for commercial work. And they have a special offer. Quote the Village Idiot when you inquire and get a massive 7.5% off. Need it cleaned by the experts? Contact Bassett Law Pro Clean now. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Folks, this week in South Cambridgeshire, I've got an absolute belter for you. Squirreled away between the A428 and the A14 to the west of Cambridge is the parish of Madingley. It might be small, but boy does this one make up for that with its landmarks. Recorded in the Domesday Book as Madingelei, its name literally means Mada's clearing. Its most prominent landmark is its manor house, built in 1543 by Sir John Hynde. Now owned by the University of Cambridge, as it has been since 1948, the manor house is known as Madingley Hall, and it's a stunning building. It's surrounded by parkland and it's loaded with history. It was, in 1863, rented by none other than Queen Victoria for her son, the future King Edward VII, to live in while he was an undergraduate at the university. The hall is the standout feature here, but let's not overlook the village. It has a village hall, a pub, and some other gorgeous properties. The most notable would be the Church of St Mary Magdalene, right on the edge of the hall's drive. To the south, Madingley Parish also covers perhaps the most incredible, yet sombre landmark we've ever visited. That would be the American War Cemetery, where more than 3,800 American servicemen who died in World War II are laid to rest. There's also a windmill, a tower, a garden centre, and a few other things to discuss here. Trust me, you'll want to watch this one right to the very end. Off the A1303, which runs to the south of Madingley Village, is the Cambridge American War Cemetery and Memorial. This is a military cemetery containing the remains of 3,812 American servicemen, most who died in World War II's Battle of the Atlantic. Located on Madingley Hill, the cemetery covers 30.5 acres of land that was donated by the University of Cambridge in 1943. Originally, America's war dead were buried in 3 temporary cemeteries across the UK until they were consolidated into one. However, the US government also repatriated 58% of the war dead at the request of the surviving family members. The remainder lay here, and the Cambridge American Cemetery and Memorial was officially dedicated on the 16th of July 1956. As well as the Americans who lay here, there are also the graves of 24 unknown soldiers. In total, there are 3,809 headstones. The graves are white crosses laid out in a series of arcs. These are all easily identifiable by lettered sections and grave numbers. In 2014, the cemetery gained a visitor centre which contains exhibits about some of these individuals interred at the cemetery. At one end of the Great Wall, which lines the back of the cemetery, is a memorial chapel, 28 feet high and made of Portland stone. Its doors are made of teak and are embellished with relief models of World War II military equipment. It was open, so let's go in. If you glance to your left from the entrance steps, you can appreciate how big this place is and just how many men lie here. A great map on the wall shows schematically the operations across the North Atlantic and other actions in World War II. The building was designed and built between 1952 and 1954 by Boston-based architects Perry, Shaw, Hepburn, Kehoe and Dean. The wall and roof have an amazing mosaic depicting angels and ghostly aircraft, and the windows are notable features as well. So all 50 states of America are represented in the windows of the chapel. I'm here with the seal of California, but close by I have Minnesota on my right, I've got Iowa above me, I've got Texas above me, Florida, Michigan I can see as well. They're all represented in the windows because, of course, these soldiers didn't just come from one part of America, they came from all over America. So it's good that they're all represented. Now, of course, this is a tourist attraction, but it's also a cemetery, so you have to be very respectful when you come here. I've seen a couple of people wandering around as I've been filming, and they're walking around as they should, with their heads down, quiet, peaceful reflection. There's even a young lady outside this chapel right now who's just sat there dreamily looking out onto the graves. And that's what it's supposed to be. It's a place of peace. If you're American and you ever get the chance to come across here to visit this, I say do. It's completely free of charge. You can park your car for free, you can walk around for free, the whole thing's free. And remember, it's here for a very, very good reason. And I think this is important too. Just after leaving the chapel, I noticed this on the wall. Have a look at this. On the Great Wall leading to the flag under which they fought are recorded the names of Americans who, in this area of operations or in the waters of the Atlantic, gave their lives in the service of their country and who sleep in unknown graves. It's all these guys here. And there's a lot of them. I have to say, there's a lot of them. And of course, they don't lie here. Nobody knows where they are. But all of these paid the price for freedom as well. I have the utmost respect for every single one of those people, and those people too. You've got to be brave to fight in a war, and as we all know, America is the land of the free and the home of the brave. Literally yards away from the cemetery is Madingley Windmill. This is a post mill which stands at Mill Farm on the A1303. It was brought here from Ellington near Huntingdon in 1936 to replace a former windmill that fell down in 1909. Even though it would probably make a great tourist attraction, access to Madingley Windmill is strictly private. The A1303 has a few more landmarks we can have a look at as well. If you drive along it towards its junction with the A428, you'll notice a tower. Known as the Madingley antenna, this transmits Freeview TV signals. The BBC national networks use this, and so too do some independent local channels, most notably Cambridge TV, which launched in 2015. Next to the tower is Madingley Mulch, which is a garden building supplier formed more than 20 years ago. It's one of the leading local suppliers of ready-mix concrete. After driving about half a mile to the north, we're now heading into Madingley village itself, and here we get our first look at Madingley Hall from its entrance drive. Since 1948, this has belonged to the University of Cambridge, and it's used as their Institute of Continuing Education. It's also a hotel, and tonight, I'm a guest. Now, ordinarily, filming something like this would just be a case of driving up its drive and then going straight back out again. But of course, this is a bit different with this one because I'm spending the night here. I've just been to check in. I'm a touch early to check in, but it's not a big deal because I can walk around Madingley village first and then come back here to show you the whole last, can't I? What a magnificent building this is. It's fabulous, isn't it? I bet this has got a very rich history. Well, we'll learn about it as we walk around. And of course, also I'll be able to show you the inside of this when I've eventually checked in and got to my room. Fabulous building. This cost me, for the night, £68, which I think is pretty good considering it's a building that's owned by the University of Cambridge. Right, let's go for a wander around the village and see what Madingley is all about. At the end of the hall's entrance drive and sporting a tall spire is Madingley's church, dedicated to St Mary Magdalene. It sits within the hall's grounds, but it's not part of the university's holdings. This sign, though, tells you you're on university property. Founded over 900 years ago, St Mary Magdalene's draws a regular congregation from the village and from the surrounding area. At the time of my visit, it was closed for some restoration work. Sunday services were held at the village hall in the meantime. The earliest recorded mention of a church in Madingley dates back to 1092. The present building dates from the 12th century. Much restoration work was carried out in the late 19th century, and the chancel was totally rebuilt in 1874. At one time, this would have been in the centre of the main village street, and remains of that can be traced in the landscape to the west. From the churchyard you can see Church Lane, which is part of the modern village street, which runs from north to south. Madingley Park can be seen over the road. It's a small children's playground and the only recreational facility in the village. The church gates were restored for the new millennium, and these memorialise Brian Patrick Dean. A small plaque confirms that fact. And just outside the gates I spotted a parish notice board. You know the drill by now. Tick Madingley off the list, guys. So as you leave the church, if you take a left turn, you're then going back towards the entrance to Madingley Hall. Check this out for a gate lodge. Look at this. Isn't this just beautiful? This is almost as beautiful, in a way, as Madingley Hall itself, isn't it? That's fabulous. And if you think that's impressive, wait till you see the entrance gates in a moment. The entrance gates are Grade 2 listed and were erected in 1908. They're surmounted by stone urns, similar to those at Histon Manor. Just after the gates you'll get a long distance view of the hall and its big lake within the parkland. We'll be back here shortly. First, let's get the actual village out of the way. This is the view up the high street looking north towards the local pub. That would be the Three Horseshoes, and technically it's not a pub anymore. It's a restaurant officially, but it still sells beer. Opposite the pub is the village hall, one of the newest buildings in Madingley. This provides 800 square feet of communal space. You will of course have noticed that both the pub and the village hall are thatched buildings, so too are a few of its lovely cottages. Madingley is another of the Cambridge villages that's served by the number 8 between the city and Papworth Everard. Here's a bus stop. Madingley is also fortunate to have been spared any inappropriate development. The parish council strive to maintain its unspoilt character. Much of the village enjoys the protection of being within a conservation area. It's also officially located within the Cambridge Greenbelt. We continue north to the phone box, and like many others it's now a book exchange. They're popular in Cambridgeshire, it seems. Madingley is among the smallest villages in the county. We're getting towards the end of civilization here as we pass this house on the right. Beyond it, the road tapers off into the countryside. It becomes the avenue before running into the new A1307 at Dry Drayton. Now, of course, by any stretch of the imagination, Madingley is not a thriving urban metropolis, is it? It's a very small place, but it does see a lot of traffic. As I've been walking up this road, there's been plenty of cars flying past me in both directions, actually, but none of them are stopping. None of them are stopping to admire the amazingness that is Madingley Village. It's a bit of a shame when you think about it, isn't it? It's got some fantastic buildings, the pub, the village hall, all these thatched buildings, and of course, Madingley Hall itself. And that's where we're heading to finish off this walk. We're going to head across its parkland. There's a footpath that runs down the side of the lake, which you saw a few moments ago. That'll take us back to the reception area and then, of course, to the building itself. Our walk to the hall will take us first around its lake, its grounds and its gardens, which are all interesting in and of themselves. The grounds were landscaped by Lancelot Capability Brown in 1756 after Sir John Hynde Cotton wished to modernise them. That involved digging this ornamental lake, removing some cottages and lowering the high street to improve his view of the countryside. Some trees were cut down as well, but Madingley Hall still retains a wooded area between the lake and the main village. You can't deny though that the view must have improved. Here's the hall from the edge of the lake as we continue around the grounds. We've reached the hall's Cedar of Lebanon, a magnificent tree that's leaning gracefully. It's suffering from a fungal rot at present though. These footpaths we've been walking on are all permissive, not public. Here's a handy map showing you where you can walk. We're entering the gardens now, and there's some artwork to be seen, like this sculpture for example. The hall is getting ever closer, and at points it looks simply magnificent. It's played host to some very important people in the past. After being owned by Sir John Hynde and his descendants from 1543 onwards when it was built, it was sold to Thomas Harding in 1905. He sensitively renovated the house, outbuildings, gardens and the church, with his son Walter Ambrose Harding continuing after him. The estate was bequeathed to the University of Cambridge in 1948 on the condition that they maintain the character of the village. The hall now serves as the university's Institute for Continuing Education and its subdepartment of animal behaviour, established in 1950. Queen Victoria's son, Edward VII, lived at Madingley Hall in 1863 whilst at Cambridge University. At that time, he was the Prince of Wales. Okay, I think I've killed enough time now wandering around the grounds and the gardens and the lake and everything, and the village of course. I should now be able to check in. So, next time you see me, we'll be on the inside. Okay, so here we are inside the hotel room. I've taken off a couple of layers of clothing because it's quite warm out there. It's cooled down a bit. I've been in here about an hour now. So let me show you my view out of the window. Here we go. I've been lucky that I've got a view like this. Look at this. Out here into a little courtyard. That's the entrance, the main entrance to Madingley Hall right there. And behind it you've got this little garden, I suppose, with a pond just there. You can see as well, there's the entrance gate that we briefly caught on the main walk. And you might notice as well that this is part of the old building. These windows are single glazed. So it's a good job it's not going to be really cold tonight, to be honest with you. But I can't fault this. I really can't. Let me show you a little bit around the hotel. So here's the room. It's basic, but you know, I never need much, to be fair. You know, bog standard tea tray, single bed, ensuite in here. I'll just show you inside. I haven't worked out with the light switches for this yet. Oh, maybe I have. It's there. There we go. Pretty standard. There are 96 rooms in here, apparently. I'm in room 24, and I'm actually in one of the best rooms because I'm on the ground floor and I'm also very close to a door where I can go out to that garden. So let's go out there and have a look at it. Here we go. Here's the door. You have to press this little button to get out. There you go, into the courtyard. And there you go. It's my room there, look. and this is what I can see from the window. Got a clock tower up there, and then this is the drive down to the entrance gate, which we saw earlier. Pretty good, isn't it? It's really nice. This is a modern extension as well. These rooms have been added on later. The actual hall itself is just that building there, effectively, and all the bedrooms and the breakfast room and stuff like that is all been added on at the back, much later built. But it's in keeping, to be fair, with the hall itself, isn't it? It's beautiful. And now it's cooled down, it'd be nice just to sit out here with a drink, wouldn't it? they do have a bar here. I think they've got 2 bars here actually. Might tempt myself later if I feel like it. But yeah, I'm going to spend the night here, and in the morning I'll be on to the next one. Lovely place, and not bad for 68 quid. Between Madingley and the northernmost reaches of the American War Cemetery is the 800 wood. This was planted in 2008 on former arable land owned by the University Farm to celebrate the 800th anniversary of the University of Cambridge's foundation in 1209. Covering 10 hectares, it joins up with the ancient Madingley Wood, which is a site of special scientific interest. With over 15,000 trees planted, it was the largest planting project ever undertaken by the university. Using grants from the Forestry Commission and the Cedar Trust, the 800 wood was planted with a variety of native tree species such as ash, oak and hazel, to reflect those found in Madingley Wood. A woodland path in the shape of a figure of 8 runs through the new wood, to which the public are allowed access. 120 of the trees were planted by 45 local children. In 2009, a community day of celebrations took place in the 800 wood as part of the programme of events held by the university to mark its historic milestone. And in the dark the next morning, I made my way out of the hall to begin day 2 of this trip around South Cambridgeshire. It took an absolute age to get light, so theoretically I could have had an extra hour in that warm, comfy bed. Nonetheless, I had a great time at Madingley Hall. Who knows, I might be back again. See you all next time. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.